I'm Samantha Mowat. I'm a clairvoyant psychic and a contactee, and you'll have to excuse me being in my workout clothes. I was just at the dojo for a couple hours, and I promised my guides that I would get back in the habit of making my YouTube videos again after being sick from bronchitis for a month and a bit. So tonight I want to talk to you about something really important, and something that's very, relevant to me, because it's really saved my life quite a few times. Very recently I went with a dear friend of mine, and she and I drove for about 9 to 12 hours. It was a very long trip for us to take, especially this time of year, because when you think about it, right now for us it's March, and we still have snow on our highways, we still have avalanche warnings and stuff like that going on. And one thing that I have found is that because of my connection to my guides, it has helped to make me have a lot of my long driving trips to be much safer and to be at a better experience for me, because it has allowed for me to be not only a safer driver towards others, but for me to be able to handle the situations that were coming about in a more enlightened and aware form. So what do I mean by that? Well, for a long time I've been talking to my guides, and it isn't always really strong visuals or really strong auditory. It can go in waves, which I think a lot of people can have misconceived notions about their psychic abilities when it comes to this. They'll think, oh, if you're clairvoyant, then your clairvoyant is your strongest all the time, and that you probably don't receive any messages from your guides clairaudiently or claircognizantly or empathically. A lot of people believe that their psychic abilities can be as one thing or the other, when in actuality, we all have access to all of these gifts. And sometimes one will be stronger, and other times a different one will be stronger, and it kind of goes in these beautiful little waves. So, for instance, a couple days ago, my friend and I decided that we were going to take our children and go to Alberta, and we're going to go have a lovely little vacation. And so before I picked her up, I got in my truck, and I surrounded our vehicle with white light, and I invited the angels in to drive with me. I invited them into our vehicle. I asked them to help drive through me, to give me any messages that were relevant for this for this trip, and to make it so that everyone was protected. And what I found with doing that is it actually turned out to be a very beneficial situation. I had just picked up my friend and driven across town and out of town. We'd only been driving for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It really was not that long. And I kept getting this feeling of anxiety building. There was this energy, it was tense and painful and uncomfortable. I'm like, what is this? What's going on? I'm like, this doesn't look like a creepy area. The energy of the area doesn't feel that weird. What's happening? And then I started to feel panicky and almost antsy. I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? And then I started feeling vague impression of a car accident. I'm thinking, okay, I hope I'm not about to have a car accident. What's going on? Because my guides have warned me about stuff like that in the past. And so, because that happened, I heard from my guides, slow down, take your foot off the gas. I'm like, I'm going uphill. There's barely a corner ahead. I'm not going even the speed limit that at this time. Why do you want me to slow down? And they gave me that feeling of a car accident again. And so, as I drove around the corner, this gentleman who's driving down the hill, he high beams me a couple times. I'm like, well, that's peculiar. Why is he high beaming me? And my friend said something along the lines of, well, maybe there's police officers out. I'm like, maybe. And so, as she and I were driving around this corner and going up the hill more, we noticed, oh, there is a semi-truck that's in the ditch. There's a white truck that has the tail, the box completely taken off. And there's wood all over the ground. And this semi-truck driver must have lost control and hit this other vehicle, and the driver would be very lucky to walk away based upon everything we saw. I looked at this going, okay, white truck, car accident, interesting, okay. I'm like, thank you angels, thank you guys for that message. And then she and I were driving for a little while longer, and it wasn't very long, maybe 20 minutes or perhaps a half hour at most. I don't even think it was that long. And I start getting that similar sensation coming around me, where I'm feeling that anxiety, that feeling of fear and stress and panic in that moment. I'm like, what the heck, angels? We went through that car accident scene. We drove slowly through it. I didn't see any cones. I didn't see any orange signs indicating car accident ahead. Why are you giving me this feeling? And then, as I'm going through this, they kept giving me that impression of car accident, car accident. I'm like, okay. So I slow down, And as we go over top of this one hill, we're coming back down the hill, and that's when we noticed that there were car accident signs ahead, like accident scene ahead, slow down, flagger type signs. I'm like, oh, okay, there must be another car accident ahead. And as we're driving, we noticed that there's this white car. It's like a white truck or a white SUV or something like that, that was turned upright as though it had flipped with its wheels in the air. And there were flaggers and police officers of this car scene. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so it was really interesting when this happened, because my guides have been giving me the impression of things like, they gave me the energy of police officers, they gave me the energy of car accident and the need to slow down. And so it was that very gentle, intuitive messaging that they gave me, predominantly like a claircognizant level, so where you get like the downloads of information, the sudden thought in your head that's very strong, very clear, very concise. And because they had given that to me, I knew how to approach the situation as I was coming up to it. I recognized how my driving habits needed to be adjusted for that moment. And so one thing that I found very beneficial over the years is this has helped me to be a more efficient and capable driver. A very long time ago, like 5, 6 years ago-ish, a dear friend of mine was leaving an abusive relationship, and she was living in Grand Prairie, and she had asked if I would come pick her up and then drive her to Vancouver, that way she could escape it. I said, yeah, of course I'll come get you. And on that drive, as we're driving through the north going south early in the morning, I had this sudden impression that I really wanted to pass the vehicle ahead of me. The speed limit at this part of the highway is 110 kilometers an hour, and this gentleman was going like 90. I'm thinking, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, buddy, you've got to go faster than this. I'm driving for like a lot of hours after. It's like 9 or 10 hours. Please go faster. And I tried to be patient and to wait, but he still maintained going that speed. And so I felt like, okay, it's safe up ahead, it's a flat stretch, it's a straight stretch, I've got a passing lane, I'm going to pass him. And then my angel said to me, no, Sam, you need to wait. I'm like, no, I want to pass him. He said, no, wait. And they were very firm and to the point about this. And they gave me the impression of an animal. And I thought, oh, okay, fine, I'll wait. And as I'm waiting, it was interesting because I waited for a couple of minutes. I'm like, what animal? Guides, angels, I don't see an animal. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no animal. And so I started to accelerate a little bit, and they said very firmly, wait. And so I'm like, fine, I'll wait. Being a stubborn little monkey like we all are. And so a minute later, this deer came from a field on the side of the road that I hadn't even seen because of the direction of the sun that was coming up. The way the sun was like cascading towards us made it so that it kind of created so you didn't really notice the stuff off to your peripheral as much, because everything in front of you was illuminated and growing brighter. And so when this happened, this cute little deer like pinged its way across the road, and this truck had to swerve to miss it. And if I had started accelerating like I had wanted to, when the deer came onto the road, this other truck would have hit me, causing a very large car accident. And it's because of situations like that that I've had with my guides, where they've been very clear and distinct and like just so to the point about things, that I trust them to such a large extent. A long time ago, I really didn't want to start driving. I'd grown up driving stuff like, like tractors and backhoes, so I was comfortable with like that kind of thing. But the aspect of driving in a city where there's a lot of people, that kind of gave me anxiety when I was younger. And my guide said, you need to get your license. I'm like, I don't want to get my license. And they kept emphasizing over and over the importance of me doing this. And so over the course of like a 12-month period, it was interesting because they eventually they had synchronicities line up in place for me to get my license. We were driving in town one time. We had just left our apartment building, and we'd only been driving for like a minute or two. When we approached an intersection, I heard car accident. I'm looking around going like, I don't see a car accident. This is like 2007, maybe like through 2009, somewhere in there, so a really long time ago. And we had just driven across town a few months after that, and then we got rear-ended. And I was like, oh, the car accident was ours. But of course, because I'd received it in such a subtle impression, Because a lot of the times when you're talking to your guides, it's not always as distinct and loud as someone speaking in your ear, or like a vision, like a movie being playing in your head. Oftentimes it can be very subtle and a very gentle energy coming forward, pardon me, because you're distracted by everything else that's in your day-to-day life. And so it happened to us again a couple months later. This time it was in the summer, and as we were driving through an intersection going up towards a bridge, my guide said, car accident, car accident. I'm like, what car accident? And a minute later, a young girl rear-ended us. Granted, it was only like a gentle tap. It was enough to like take us, like kind of like have it lunge forward. We got out, looked, and there was no damage, but it was still a car accident. And then around Boxing Day of that year, we were driving, and the island like rarely gets snow, but it was one of those weird Boxing Days where we had it. And as we're coming off of this side road going onto the highway, we stopped so there was enough of spacing, because my guides kept saying, leave enough space, leave enough space. And I told my husband, I'm like, you need to give lots of space. I'm really nervous about this. My guides are nervous about this. And the vehicle that was behind us, he ended up not leaving enough space between us and him. And he got on the slush and he hit us, and we started to be pushed forward onto the road. Luckily, we didn't get hit because the light had changed and everything else, so I was very grateful about that. And at that point, my guide said, you need to get your license. I'm like, fine, I'll get my license, so be it. But when you look at all of the synchronicities and all the things that happen when it comes to communicating with your guides and the energy that they have, they're always having your best interest at heart. They can see the aspect of the trips that you're going on. They can see ahead of you and what's happening, and they want to keep you safe. But all it takes is a matter of tuning in before you leave the house and inviting them into your space to help keep you safe. I am in the habit every morning of saying, like, good morning angels, good morning spirit guides, good morning ancestors, good morning predecessors, good morning elementals, good morning extraterrestrials, good morning multidimensionals, good morning ascended masters, good morning one, good morning all. Acknowledging all the beings that I work with. And then when I go on any trip or we're driving for any period of time, I tend to invite the beings I work with to come with us, to further assist with the protection aspect. So, things like visualizing the white light going around the vehicle, envisioning the people in the vehicle being well protected, stuff like that. And I find it really does help. So I would recommend, just when you get into the vehicle in the day, just close your eyes, take like a deep breath, and just say, angels and guides, will you drive with me, please? Just that simple act of inviting them and giving them permission to intervene will make your life easier. But you have to listen to those subtle impressions of what you're getting. Because often our guides will give us this really gentle vibration into us, letting us know when things are coming up that we need to be aware of. For instance, we were driving home from friends' houses about a month or two ago, and I remember that even though it was Christmas time and, the roads, they're icy and it's not very nice, I was a designated driver, and I remember thinking, that's really weird as I'm driving up these two vehicles. I'm like, why do I feel like my head's spinning? Why do I feel like this kind of thing's going on? And my guides gave me the impression that the vehicle to my left was high, and the vehicle to my right, both of which were ahead of me, was drunk. And they said, Sam, keep your foot off the gas, just stay back, give them lots of space. And as I watched these drivers, I remember thinking, how the heck are these people doing this? Like, why are they doing this? This is horrid. And I remember calling, I took note of the vehicles, and my husband took down their license plates. We ended up calling the cops on them after we got home, saying, hey, look, these people were drunk and driving, and we drove this route, so you should be able to see it on your cameras. But, when your guides give you that energetic impression, often when we're going through traffic or we're driving near their vehicles, we're picking up on their energetic vibration, and it's coming into us. And that's what happened, was the clairsentient or empathic nature of myself because my aura was expanded, was reaching into the vehicles that were ahead of me, picking up their vibration, making me aware of what it was they were feeling in their energetic state. And that's why for a moment I felt like everything was kind of loopy feeling and not very grounded and secure. Well, I only wanted to make this a short video. I'm going to go get changed out of my gi, but it was lovely talking to you, and I'm super excited to start making YouTube videos again. Have a great night. Bye!